Hey, oh gosh. Hey, Askia. So let's take a look here at your logo. I think that you have a really good start here. Um, okay. So I've taken it off the artboard just so that it's out in this area where I can play with it and manipulate it and see what all I can do with it. So I'm going to leave original over here and I'm going to duplicate it and place it here, which you can duplicate using the Option key. So my first suggestion is all of these circles here, I would not have a white background in. And it's solely because depending on what you're putting them on, you're going to want it to be whatever the color is in the background. So like if you're putting it on a blue shirt, you'd want the insides to be blue. Um, just because it matches a little better. Let's see here. Let's make sure that all of our circles are connected so we can bring all of these forward. So if you place this down further, you can go to arrange and bring it forward, or we can just bring them to the front. So let's keep doing that. I don't think this is the same color as this though. No, they're not. Okay, so make sure your colors are the same. I feel like this one might be a different color from that as well. So again, let's make sure this is connected, bring it to the front. Same with these guys. Okay, that one is fine. This one we want to center up. So the purple lines that you're seeing on my screen, if you don't normally see those, all you need to do is go to our view and click on Smart Guides, and it will show you how things line up a lot easier. So you can make sure that your circles are centered. So we got that one in the front. This one we're going to bring out a little bit. Let's look at these guys. Okay. Alrighty. So you're just going to want to make sure that these are all lined up correctly and that they're all brought forward. Your diagonal ones you're going to have to eyeball a little just because the smart guides probably aren't going to show up for those just because they are on diagonals and it's a little difficult for it to figure those out, but you can easily eyeball them to get them right where they need to be. And let's bring that one over. Okay. And the same thing I would say for this part, and I'm sorry about my voice. Things are just trying to kill me on a regular basis. Basically the mold outside. So I would align these. So wait, what's that? Oh, okay. I was like, what is that connected to? I need to have this tool. This would be better. So just make sure that you're lining all this up. Send them to the back so that they're not on top. And I need to do that. If you hold down the shift key, it'll keep them straight. So you don't have to worry about messing up your lines. So if we click here, press the shift. If we click on here and then press the shift key, it'll do what it's supposed to. You can always right click on these to send them to the back, or you can use the shortcuts. Let's do that. And then we're going to work on some more alignment here in a minute. Okay. Let me get all of these sent to the back and make sure they're where they're supposed to be. And then we're going to, okay, so yep, these need to be pulled down. So when you're working in Illustrator on stuff like this, you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, that you're doing it the same way on all of them, and make sure that like if you're connecting one square, you've connected all the squares, kind of thing. You don't want it to be just kind of a little bit everywhere. I'm going to tell you the same thing I told a lot of other people. Use the zoom on your computers. That's why you have it. I see a lot of you guys trying to work like way out here to design things when you have the option to zoom in really close and see things. So make sure to use it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to group all of these together. So we're going to, and not all of them, we're going to group a circle and its line together. So that's Command G, or you can right click and group them from the menu. So we're just going to grab all of these. and group them up. Oh, not what I wanted. Group, group, and group. Okay, now that they're all grouped up, you'll see that a lot of them came above. So what we're going to do is we're going to send them back again if we need to. So yeah, so like both of these came above, so just send them back. All of these did, and it's because we've grouped them. So grouping them, a lot of times we'll pull them forward. So I'm just going to select all these and send them to the back. I apparently duplicated one of them, which is kind of amusing. Okay. So let's grab all these and as well send them to the back. Okay, so now what we're going to want to do is to take this. Oh, I clicked too much. Is select this and use the smart guides to line it up so that they're centered, because this one is off center. Okay. If you don't want to use the smart guides, well, actually, no, I take that back. You want to use the smart guides. So make sure you have smart guides turned on for this, because if we do the other, it's going to misalign some other stuff, and we don't want to do that. So, if you don't, actually, I do have another alternative. If you don't want to use the smart guides, you can go to rulers. You can turn the rulers on, and if you select this shape and go over to the rulers, you can put a guide in the middle like that. Smart guides are much easier though, so just keep that in mind. And it's an easy thing to turn on. Okay. 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 And this last one. Okay. Then the other thing I want you to do is I want you to take your rulers, and you might not have a problem, but I just want to double check because you want these to all be lined up. So I'm going to go across the bottom here and put a ruler on the edge of each of these, or not a ruler, a guide, excuse me, so that I can make sure that they're lined up on the top in the same spaces. And the same thing we're going to do here. And that is because the work that you're doing here is very symmetrical, so it needs to remain that way across the entire thing. Okay, so what we're going to go in is we're going to make sure, so like here, this one's not lined up correctly. So we're going to select it and we're going to move it over. This one looks to be, and this one does. The other thing I want to check really quickly. Okay, we'll fix that in a minute. Okay, so that one's lined up, that one is. Okay, it looks like the others are lined up pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and guides. I'm just going to clear all the guides because it's easier than trying to sort it out. So they're all lined up correctly. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is you see how this one is kind of on the top here, but this one's much further in. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to place a ruler on the black line here and here. We're going to have to go in and make sure, because sometimes it's kind of hard to see if they've met where they're supposed to. Okay, and we're going to put one down here. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to select all of these. Well, actually, we're going to group these. So we're going to group these up again, but now we're going to group them with their squares. And just basically what this does is as we're working on this, it makes it easier for me to move parts after I have already sorted out spacing and so on. So I'm going to group each of these individually together, and then I'm going to actually group the whole entire party together. And the reason I'm grouping them the way that I am is depending on what I'm doing and how I need to move things, this is just an easier way to make sure I can get each part I need easily. So if I know I only need to move this one, I'm going to go into this group and go to that individual one, but I may need to move the whole piece instead of just individual pieces. So this allows me more control over what I'm doing. It also means that it's easier to find what I'm looking for in my layers panel. So we're going to group those. Did I group you guys together? Yes, I did. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this whole group and we are going to zoom in. Oh, do I have the whole group still? Yep. Okay. And we are just going to bump it up to that line. Make sure I have it where it needs to be. Yep, okay. And if I hold shift, nothing will fluctuate in a way that means that things aren't where they're supposed to be. So, there we go. And there we go. So everything on that outside panel is now lined up correctly. So let's go to our guides again. We're going to clear our guides. I am curious what this looks like without that. Okay, so how have we done this? Oh, okay. So let's turn this off then. Let's just have the black outline. I think that's going to look a lot better than this white one because a lot of things that white one's going to blend into and you're not going to see it. Like on a white background, you're never going to see that. I know that if you have this on a black background, you're going to miss parts of it, but you could always change that out for white so that it's a little easier. But the other way, you're going to be flipping. There's no way to juxtaposition it correctly for it to work. So I would stick to the way it is right now where there's elements that are see-through. If you wanted white in this, we could make the middle of this white instead. Go away. So we could do something like this where we have a thicker stroke on it so that you had that white center where you could type in, which might actually be really interesting because that really makes that center stand out a bit more. Something else I'm going to suggest is we work on your gradient a little bit. So I'm going to edit your gradient. Let's see here. Where's the gradient tool thing that I want? This is what I want. Okay, so let's make this a little bigger here. Okay. Let's see here. For one, let's take this color out. Let's put your white. Let's try moving that there. Put that there, that there. And let's pull this one in here. Let's do this. Okay, so I don't want that. Let's try. I'm assuming you meant for this to be more of like a pastel red, which is fine. But we're going to need to give it a bit more red because it doesn't look red right now. I would say move our orange here, or yellow there. We don't need an additional yellow. I don't even know if we need pink, really. Okay. Oh, actually the blue might be good to be just lighter. Let's grab a really pastel-y purple. I'm wondering if this might be a better option for you because it goes through the range. And I was thinking that instead of, okay, I don't want to do that. I want to just move this. Okay. Why will you not let me move this? Okay, I'm going to move that down there so I can actually get to this point. That's what I want. Okay, so what I was thinking was that in this white space, we kind of center this a little bit. I don't know why it's being so persnickety with me. Okay, so we do something more like this, where they're a little more spaced out, and we do it on a diagonal, because I think it's going to give you some more, it's going to make it a little more dynamic, which I think will be helpful. So yeah, let's do it like that. I think it just gives it more movement, which is kind of nice. I might also suggest that you make this inside part just a little bit smaller. And that's not centered. Oh, I guess it depends on what it's centered on. Okay. Let's try centering the two. Okay. Let's do this first. Okay. Okay, let's group that. We're going to send it to the back. All right, now let's center all of this. Okay. Okay, it's not going to do. Okay, so let me do this. This will help me. This is why guides are important, because not everything centers the way you think it's going to. Sometimes it centers strangely. So I have all this stuff grouped together. So it's centering based on these. It's not centering based on where the actual center is of the box in the middle, which is annoying. There are ways to go around it, but it's not. It's going to be easier to put guides in for this. Okay, so there we go. So now you're centered, and I can get rid of these guides. I think hopefully by going to clear guides. Yep. Okay, cool. So there we go. I also wanted to try something. I think that we need to make your strokes a little bigger. So I think I did the other one to 5. Yeah. Okay. So I know I grouped all this stuff, so it's going to be a little more difficult to go in and do this because you're going to have to click a lot. But if you do it in the beginning, which I know you've already done the other stuff, it's a little easier. But I might be able to... Actually, I think it's only going to do it in the group. Okay, yeah, it's only going to do it in the group. So I might be able to make it easier that way at least. Maybe. We'll see if it'll work. And maybe because of how I grouped them, that it's not going to let me do that. Let me have the stroke. Come on. Yeah, no. Okay, so you have to go through each of these and just change them to a 5. I just think it's going to look a little better and it's going to stand out a little better. Oh, actually, I'm being dumb. So if I just use the selection tool, I can do this super easily. I'm not tired, I swear. So if we use the white selection tool, so the direct selection tool, it'll be easier. I totally forgot because my brain is tired. So just go in, select each one, make it a 5. And it's just going to add emphasis to the outside part because right now it kind of feels a bit like an afterthought, which I know it's not. I know how computer chips work and what they look like, but with them being so light, you're not seeing them as much. So I think that that really helps it a little better. Also, by tilting your gradient, you're kind of putting the purple and blue here, and I'm wondering if maybe this would look better as red, these over here, because you haven't used a lot of the warm colors. So that's something I want to try really quick just to see how that goes. So let's try, well, actually that might be the better option than this. Go away. Let's go for, I think an orange might work. Let's see about, stop it. I don't know why that keeps popping out. It's kind of annoying. Okay. I love it when I've selected something and it tells me I haven't. So yeah, a pink might actually work quite nice. And that would bring the pink color you're looking for. And you could go for like a more pastel pink as well if you didn't want to go for like a neon pink. But the neon pink would actually probably work. Even a darker pink would work if you wanted it to reflect more on like this purple color over here. I just think it might do a little better than the green because it stands out a bit more. But that's kind of your choice. The middle here, I do want you to write something, and we were gonna make this smaller. That was what we were doing when I got distracted by other things. So let's do that real quick. Okay. So my thoughts were to shrink this a little in the middle. Okay, so we're pretty good there. Okay, so, and make it so that you can see this gradient a little bit more because it's a really nice little gradient. And I might even, I do not care about you, color thing, and I do not know why you keep coming up. You're kind of annoying. Oh, nope, I don't want to get rid of that. Just gonna make this a little longer, actually. Yeah. Put that there, that there, that there. So basically what I'm trying to do is just rearrange the colors a little bit so they're a little more even. Okay. So I might do something like that so it's a little more gradual because before it felt like there was some parts that were getting missed a little bit. But I think this gives there's more availability to your gradients. You can see more of it. You can see how the colors transition. And I do think it would be interesting to have this side be warm and this side be a bit cooler because you have the blue and the purple over here. You can have like a yellow and an orange or red or even a pink. I think the pink works really well. Let's see again now that we've kind of messed with this a little bit if... I wonder why it's saying they're not all the same. Who knows? The biggest problem with going with an orange is I'm afraid it might blend too much unless you do like a darker orange. I mean, that might work too. So kind of play with these colors. I think that it's kind of interesting to play with the cool, the warm side and the cool side because of the colors that you've done. I think that might add some visual appeal to it and just give it some more going on. In the middle here, I want you to write something. So you were talking about it being for circuit boards, so um, I would probably find some kind of a name to put in here. I'm going to just put your name in this. And we're just going to call it Hiskia Circuits for now. Um, and you're going to need a font. So let's look at fonts really quick. Okay, let me pull this up. So let's go to Adobe Fonts, and we're working with computers. So let's browse all. And let's see what we got in here. Um, Sorry. I'm going to say we start with college because that might have some rather circuity like this one I think might be interesting to go with your circuits, as well as another one down here. So I'm going to write these down because it's really hard for me to remember them otherwise. So let's add this one to the family, and we're going to do stratum. So let's add that one. Da, 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 da. I think export and industry would be good. I'm going to add them. I've already added them to my stuff because I've used them in previous classes. So I'm not going to click the add family button, but for you, you would have to probably do that unless you already have them. Okay. So let's see here. What else do we have? Factoria is probably a good one as well, and I already have that as too. That one too. I had a student in my past class who was also doing computer-based stuff, so a lot of these are in there. We can look in futuristic. I don't necessarily know that there's anything in here that's going to work really well. Like, I like the idea of a pixelated font, but there is a lot of issues with being able to read them, just like this one would be a little bit hard to read. They very much speak to the culture, but we also have to worry about other people being able to read them. So we might try this one, Orbitron. And Lunatex might be good too. Or Lunatics, I guess. Okay. And I'm going to add both of those. Okay. So we're going to go into Illustrator down here. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So let's go to 70. And let's make the text box bigger. And we're going to center this. Okay. And what we're going to do is we are going to duplicate this a couple times. All right, so let me go ahead and put these fonts in. So we're going to type in Montestella, and we're going to probably go with this one because I think the others are a bit too light. I feel like that one's going to work best for that. And then we need stratum. And we're going to go with we're going to go with the black. And then I'm going to go to stratum again. And I'm going to grab the number 2 black. So let's grab this, and we're going to do industry. Okay. So we've got a couple different ones. I'm going to do a bold for industry. What else do we have? Ooh. That actually might be interesting. I feel like it needs to be that one. Okay. So that's part of the industry family. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so there's some outline and inline text. So the one that I used is the outline. The inline's kind of nice, but I think for circuits it would have to go all the way through. And then the other one that I wanted was this one because it's a darker font. Let's see here. We need export. So I'm going to do both of these. I don't know that I'm going to keep them both, but just so we can see what they look like. And then we're going to go to Factoria. I kind of like that one, I think, better. I think the other one's going to get really skewed. Orbitron, we're going to go with bold. And then Lunatics, we're going to go with bold. Okay, so I can get rid of these. Now, you can put whatever you want in this text-wise. Whatever floats your boat. I'm just giving, or you can write whatever you want. So, like, if you don't want it to be Hiskia's circuits, that's fine. I'm just putting words in so that we can have something written in there. Whatever you want to call it, that's fine. I literally can think of nothing right now else to write because my brain is failing. So basically what I've done here is I'm just pulling in all the text that I liked, that I thought might look good, and we're looking at them and going what works, what doesn't. So I don't particularly like this one, so I'm going to put it over here. I just don't think it works well with what we're trying to do. I think it feels kind of cheap. So we're going to pull these in. I'm not a massive fan of that one. I just think it looks kind of silly, and this is a little more of a serious thing. So I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to put our discards over here. I don't know that this one necessarily is going to work really well, or this one. I'm not a fan of the C's in that. And some of this is personal preference. So, like, you can look at these fonts and you may like one of the ones I've kicked out, and feel free to, like, use it. I'm just kind of trying to show you the process that I go through when I'm doing this, and kind of how I try to decide on fonts. Okay, that's Stratum 1 and Stratum 2. Okay. Explains why they look so similar. I don't think I like either of these. I think they're too light. So let's try these four. So I'm gonna move all of this stuff over because they're not gonna be included. Let's grab your little guy here. All right, we're gonna make your artboard just a wee bit bigger, just so we have a little more space. Okay. And I'm gonna grab him. I'm gonna make sure he's grouped. And I'm gonna put him there. I'm gonna click on him, and I'm gonna center him. And then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna make 4 artboards. And it really helps if you continually hold down the shift button, or the option button, excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here, this one here, this one here, and this one here. So step 1 is we are going to turn these into outlines. And then we're going to shrink them to fit in the center. Okay, cool. You do that. So we're going to have to put guides in for the centering. I don't know why the computer is being a pain about it, but here we go. Okay, so let's grab it. And oh, interesting. Okay, so it doesn't look centered in there. Okay, cool. So you're going to have to optically center these, which basically means you're going to look at it and you're going to move it until it feels like it's centered. Because for some reason, and it may be that this box, let's try centering via the box. That may be what we have to do. Okay. Let's try that now and see if that, nope, 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 nope. I only want this. Okay. Yeah, it's not going to work. Okay, so you're going to have to optically center it, which basically means that you're just going to look at it and you're going to move it until it feels centered. Because if we center it correctly according to computer technology, it's going to feel uncentered to us as we look at it. So there's 2 different types of centering when we're working in graphic design. There is computer-based centering, which is where we use the devices within our computer, so the stuff up here, to center things. And it is what it considers to be centered. But the flip side of that is that when we look at things, optically, sometimes we see things differently than our computers mathematically perform them. So for this, we're going to have to optically center it so that when we look at it, it feels centered, because sometimes stuff that's created and done with computers doesn't always center correctly, and then we feel kind of weird about it. It could also be the size of your text boxes, because sometimes that's a problem as well. So just note that on this, you're probably going to have to center these optically. Oop. All right, that can be a little bigger, so we're just gonna center this to where it looks right. So sometimes that means just leaning back, looking at what it says, and kind of going from there. Type, create outline, shrink it, center it. Okay, that one needs to be shrunk just a tee bit more. Yep. Right. Type, create outlines. Okay, so yeah, so that's what it's gonna look like if you put font in it or type in it, depending on what you want, how you want it. You can make them smaller, you can make the type larger. So I kind of tried to give you some different spacing options so you could see what it looked like. Another thing that you could do if you wanted is that you could turn this so that it sits sideways, which actually may be a really good option. Actually, I think that is actually the better option. So if you turn these vertically, and this is something that Intel has done. So Intel has their name on a lot of stuff or diagonally, not vertically. So I think that this would be a really good way for you to have your stuff, and it gives your logo a bit of movement as well, which is kind of nice because circuit board is pretty static. So yeah, so you could do something like that, and that would actually add a lot of character to it, and I think it's really a good option. Um, so here's some ways to fix it, to change it, to give it some additional refinement is the word I'm looking for that is eluding me. Play around with these options, play around with the colors. Like I said, I think that on the one that you had as green, excuse me, I am really sorry. I am just tired. That the orange could be red or pink or orange. Um, I think that that will give it kind of a warm side and a cool side. And I think that really flows nicely with the gradient as well, which gives your eyes, it tells your eyes how to flow across this, and having your font reading the way that it does diagonally will help as well. So if you have any questions, you need anything, so on, please let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, and so on.